Hello, welcome to Dual Credit U.S. History B discussion board for lesson 4, the Progressive Era. Okay, you have just learned about women's suffrage and we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. So, what I want you to do, once again, remember the PIN method, remember not to use help from AI. What I want you to do is I want you to look at this slideshow and answer the following. Outline a few sentences about women's rights and what finally helped the amendment to pass. The slideshow is very cool and it shows the background on the women's suffrage movement. Suffrage meaning the right to vote. And right here, it has a picture of this woman who, have you forgotten about your sympathy for the poor German because they were not self-governed? And here, here we are, and we're not in this either. And then Seneca Falls, which was an early movement for women's suffrage, led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, and they wrote the Declaration of Sentiments, which was taken after the Declaration of Independence. Very interesting thing that happened. And then the 15th Amendment, which granted African American men the right to vote, and they were hoping that it would also grant women the right to vote, but they were not given the right to vote. Here's a quote from Frederick Douglass from Sojourner Truth, and here's some things that happened before 1910. Once again, big leaders: Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Susan B. Anthony right there, she's actually my daughter, who's 9 years old. This is probably not that big of a shock. Really loves to read about Susan B. Anthony and thinks that she's very cool. She is very cool. I agree. She's very, very cool. And anti-suffragists and the beliefs of the anti-suffragists who thought that women should not vote. And then the map of women's suffrage before 1920. Wyoming was the first that gave women the right to vote. And then Utah. I used to be a Utah history teacher back in the day, so I happen to know that. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting map to see when women's suffrage was given before 1920. And then Elizabeth Cady Stanton died, Susan B. Anthony died, and President Wilson, and the National Women's Party in 1918, and then finally in 1920, the 19th Amendment was passed. And it passed, Tennessee was the 36th state to ratify it, and it passed by only one vote. So that's kind of an interesting little slideshow about the whole thing. So what I want you to do is outline for me about women's rights and what finally helped the amendment to pass in Congress. What do you think what do you think made it finally happen? Okay, and tell me what you think about women's rights. I think it's definitely a good thing. I think it was done way too late, but that's my own opinion. So anyway, I want to hear what you have to say about women's rights. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.